The late respected Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan once said something to the effect that each of us is entitled to their own opinion, but not to their own facts. Yes, the experts are sometimes wrong, just like all of us, but by and large, they admit that and publicly correct their mistakes, or at least they try to do so. Our problem is that a lot of Americans totally ignore what the experts in any given field have to say. Instead, those folks act both in public forums and on social media as if they alone know the sum knowledge of any given subject, when in fact, they know almost nothing. It's reached the point the AP website runs a daily column headed, "Not the Real News, a look at what didn't happen this week." Due to preconceived notions or a personal agenda, people take a stance on an issue and simply will not give up, no matter the scope of sometimes considerable available evidence that they're so full of it, a hat won't fit. How in the world did we get here? And why do so many others readily believe those people? Most of those who are most vocal want you to ignore the education and the experience of the experts and instead believe something you saw on YouTube, read from Wikipedia, or just made up out of thin air. While the easy way out is to blame this state of affairs on social media, or more traditional media of the left, right, or center, the reality is that the consumers of that media are the ones who are at fault. Our brains are assaulted daily with a fire hose volume of information aimed at a population, including a lot of people unable to decide which way they're going to jump to avoid getting soaking wet. On top of that, the anonymity of social media, coupled with a lack of physical contact between people, leads to a climate sometimes nasty at best and downright hostile at its worst. Another part of the problem, generations have been brought up to believe that they individually are far better, or at least equal to, everybody else, including those experts. In our current situation, battling a hitherto unknown virus that to date has taken tens of thousands of lives in this country alone, the inability to sift the information wheat from the chaff can be deadly for some. We're at a point where a continued failure to recognize the limits of our individual knowledge is no longer a game of simply striving to prove your stance is the only one right and true. Not just in the current crisis, but in whatever lies ahead, this act of passing one's viewpoint off as the end-all and be-all must stop if our country, and indeed our planet, are to survive. Remember, while the experts are sometimes wrong, a majority of those have the courage to admit their mistakes and to publicly correct them. The only question here then is, are we, all of us, willing to do the same?